Look closely at the diamond set into the cross of this crown. Today, India, Pakistan, Afghanistan, and Iran are demanding Britain hand it over. Why are 4 separate nations fighting over a single piece of carbon? Because this stone operates as a physical ledger of empire. In 700 years of recorded history, the Kohinoor has never once been bought or sold. Every time it changed hands, it was extracted through battlefield slaughter, torture, or political extortion. To track the path of the Kohinoor is to track the violent history of power across the Eastern world. Go back to the 13th century. At this point in time, India was the sole source of the world's diamonds, trading them along the Silk Road. Deep in the Kollur mines of the Kakatiya Dynasty, laborers unearthed an astonishing rough stone weighing nearly 800 carats. The Kakatiya rulers recognized its singular nature immediately. They set the massive glowing stone directly into the left eye of their patron goddess, Bhadrakali. The sheer scale of the gem generated a geopolitical gravity. It ceased to be a religious artifact and became a magnet for human greed, signaling to rival kings that this was a prize worth claiming above all others. The Delhi Sultanate invaded Kakatiya, looting the diamond and initiating a cycle of violent seizure. Over the coming decades, the stone bounced wildly across the subcontinent. As regional kingdoms rose and fell, the victors stripped the diamond from the defeated. In 1526, conqueror Babur seized the stone after crushing local forces at Panipat. Babur established the Mughal Empire and assessed his new prize with cold economic precision. He wrote that the massive diamond was worth the exact cost of providing 1 full day's food for the entire human race. A century later, Emperor Shah Jahan pulled the gem from the treasury to cement his authority. He embedded it directly at the very top of his extravagant new seat of absolute power, the legendary Peacock Throne. His successor, Aurangzeb, hired a famous jeweler to recut the diamond to enhance its brilliance. The job was disastrously botched. In a devastating error, the massive stone shattered upon impact, shrinking from nearly 800 carats down to just 186. Under the Mughals, the diamond served as the fixed centerpiece of imperial authority. Look at the crowds massed outside the Red Fort here in Delhi. By 1739, the Mughal Empire had weakened, leaving the city vulnerable to Nadir Shah. He sacked Delhi, massacred its citizens, and dismantled the Peacock Throne, searching desperately for the rumored gem. He couldn't find it because the defeated Mughal Emperor Muhammad Shah Rangila had securely hidden the coveted stone inside his turban. When Nadir Shah learned of this trick, he immediately suggested a traditional exchange of turbans to celebrate a new treaty. The emperor, surrounded by hostile guards, had no choice but to hand over his headwear. As the turban unraveled, the enormous gem tumbled to the ground. Struck by its blinding brilliance, Nadir Shah exclaimed, "Kohinoor," meaning mountain of light. Nadir Shah strapped the Kohinoor to his arm and took it back to Persia, but his reign quickly collapsed into severe paranoia. After his own bodyguards violently assassinated him in his tent, the stone fell entirely into the hands of the Afghan Durrani Empire. A clear historical pattern was solidifying. Whoever claimed the Kohinoor achieved brief, spectacular military glory, followed inevitably by betrayal and ruin. Decades later, an Afghan ruler named Shah Shuja was overthrown by his own brothers. Fleeing the coup, he arrived in Lahore, and he traded the Kohinoor to the Sikh ruler, Maharaja Ranjit Singh, in direct exchange for vital asylum and military support. Beyond these fortified walls of the Lahore fort, Ranjit Singh used the diamond as a psychological tool. He strapped the Kohinoor to his arm while hosting British East India Company officers, projecting the reach and wealth of the Sikh Empire. Following Ranjit Singh's death in 1839, a rapid succession of poisonings and assassinations tore the empire's leadership apart. Within 4 years, the only surviving heir to the throne was a 5-year-old boy named Duleep Singh. The Kohinoor had once again mirrored the trajectory of the empire holding it. An explosive rise, followed immediately by a collapse into complete chaos. The British East India Company capitalized on the fractured Sikh leadership. They invaded the Punjab twice, finally defeating the Sikh army in 1849 and forcing the Treaty of Lahore. The extraction of the diamond was clinical and ruthless. The British imprisoned the young Maharaja's mother and forced the child king to formally surrender the Kohinoor directly to the East India Company, who shipped it to London for Queen Victoria. When the gem was displayed at the Crystal Palace in 1851, the British public was entirely underwhelmed. Expecting a spectacle, they found its uncut traditional Eastern appearance dull and asymmetrical compared to polished European gems. Unwilling to display an unimpressive trophy, Queen Victoria ordered the stone to be reshaped to fit European aesthetic standards. Over 38 days, jewelers ruthlessly ground the gem down, shaving its mass to just 105.6 carats. The British were acutely aware of the dark history that had annihilated the Mughals, the Persians, the Afghans, and the Sikhs. To sidestep the conqueror's curse, the royal family established a strict mandate. The Kohinoor would only ever be worn by female monarchs. Today, the Kohinoor sits locked away, a frozen artifact of conquest. When modern nations demand its return, they are addressing the violent, unpurchased, and entirely unresolved legacy of imperialism itself.